Yep. Was it 8 o'clock?
7:15. We got time.
We're gonna make it.
We'll be there.
Huh? Oh, just. Yeah.
Will somebody let him in?
Yeah, I'm gonna manage it.
You'll manage it.
I'll manage it up there. Yeah,
Okay.
we can at least, we don't have to have so many people logged in.
Right. Good idea.
Sometimes my printer, it'll search for a printer discipline.
Okay.
It'll be like a little pop-up.
Okay, thank you. All right, Donovan? Okay, like to call to order the regular meeting of the Goshen Central School District Board of Education for Monday, September 14th, 2020. Due to abundance of caution in regard to the spread of COVID-19, in accordance with Governor Cuomo's March 12th executive order, number 202.1, tonight's meeting is being held in the District Administration Building and live streamed through Zoom and YouTube. Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the President's Report. Just a few quick items. We just finished touring C.J. Hooker Middle School for our annual tour. Ms. Carlin and Mr. Syracuse were kind enough to show us around. Building looks good. It's a little bit different. The kids will have some slight adjustments once they get in a couple weeks. But I think they did a nice job down there. So congratulations to them and the staff and everybody working together to make it the best we can. Through our board comments email, we got some comments regarding Chromebooks and connection issues. Mr. Carter will give us an update that in his report, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Carter, when it comes. I also was able to remotely tie into Mr. Carter's presentation for Title I, Title II, III, IV monies. He did a nice job hosting that meeting with stakeholders. I learned a lot, so nice job, Mr. Carter. And just a quick update on our superintendent search. The superintendent survey closes tomorrow, just a last reminder. Currently, we've gained 10% more responses since last meeting, so we're over 1,200 responses. Shortly going out will be a sign up for the public forum, which will be held on September 30th. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Happy to say that we are on time so far. Schedule is working out, and the last piece towards the profile will do the stakeholder day on 9:30. That is all for me tonight. Next on the agenda is the legislative update.
Yes, hi. Hi. First of all, I want to check. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing new up in Albany in that they're still deadlocked. The issue of the federal aid and the state aid, as you know, is tied quite closely. And of course, we're all hoping that they can come to a conclusion so that we will be able to obtain our aid. Orange County school boards will be putting together their legislative agenda, which of course it will be presented at the virtually at the October meeting. And I did happen to be downtown when Senator Metzger's office opened in the old bank. And Zach, of course, one of our former students, was there, and I said to him, Zach, get that state aid down here. So I kind of lobbied, but we don't know what'll happen, but hopefully we will get our aid checks. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Mr. Connor.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President Pucci. I have a few items, just a quick update on our sports update. Section 9, the Athletic Council approved a proposal to delay the start of interscholastic sports until November 30th. And for all its member schools, winter sports will begin on November 30th. Fall sports will begin on or around March 1st. And then spring sports on or about May 1st. So I think they're waiting and hoping that the vaccines or whatever will be out there, and we'll be in a better position to make that decision as to whether we're going to move forward with sports. Just want to let the board know that I'm hosting a meeting with 5 candidates tomorrow for the new director of facilities, and we'll be conducting interviews. I would like to bring 2 finalists to meet with the board. I talked with President Pucci about this, and perhaps we can do that at the October 5th meeting before, and maybe with an appointment if we can reach a decision on the 19th. So the visual inspection facilities, this is something that needs to be done. It's a BCS on a staggered schedule by the commissioner. The calendar year is 2020 through 2024. It's every 5 years. According to the schedule, Goshen is on the list for 2022. However, districts not in this cohort need to do the BCS in the calendar year 2020 and complete their inspection by December 31st. And that report, I believe, will be sent in by the end of March month?
March 31st, yeah.
March 31st. So we'll be coming to you with more information on that. So whoever's on our buildings, facilities committee, I will let you know. I believe Jim Riley, and he's able to get someone from our OD BOCES. Yep, to help provide that. So we'll get that information going. We'll let you know more information on that as we get down the road. Just want to say that the 2 tours we've done so far have been excellent. I know the staff, the principals, the buildings and grounds, our custodians have done a great job getting the buildings ready as well as possible. So it seems great to see staff around. It'll even be better when we see kids in a building. So we're excited about that. And that's all for my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Thank you, Mr. Connor. Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Business Report, Louise Lynch.
Good evening.
Yep, just should be a red light.
Good evening. Thank you. So I just have 2 items to update the board on. One is, since I last mentioned our end of year audit, there have been some minor changes, and it will reduce the amount of fund balance ever so slightly, but there are things that are required, and when we have the audit committee meeting, the auditor will speak more in depth about it. Still leaves us in a very fiscally stable position. The other item I wanted to speak about was the tax collection. There continues to be a lot of feedback about the tax collection, a lot of questions, concerns. People are a little bit confused about options. So I wanted to, again, provide all the options so that everyone could hear. So as in the past, you could always pay by check. The difference is you're mailing it in instead of bringing it in person, and that is to the White Plains automated address. The other option, which is new this year, is you can pay by credit card, and there is a 2.45% fee. District does not get any of those funds. It's all for the organization that's collecting those fees. And I'm sure you all do the same, because I would encourage you to, but if you're not collecting points on your credit card, you should be. If I were collecting points and I put my taxes on my credit card, I would get about $125 back from paying my taxes. So, you know, it's an option. I wouldn't encourage anyone to pay more for their taxes, but it certainly gives some flexibility there. The other two options are an e-check. An e-check is when you go into your bank, it costs you a fixed $1.75. It's very secure. It's handled, you know, on the back end as an ACH. And then the last option is a debit card. You know, like a credit card, it's also a fixed fee of $3.95. So these are more options than we've had in the past, but you know, it is a little different. So as much as we can do to share that information, people understand there's some flexibility. We want to encourage them to pay whatever means is easiest for them. And other than the upcoming audit report, I don't really have anything. I'm not sure if there are any questions.
Excuse me. I know the answer, but we take all major credit cards.
We do.
Yes, people were a little confused about that.
Yes, I saw something about Discover, and I you know, it's a fixed fee. It's all credit cards, major credit cards.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions over the weekend about the credit card, and I think it was next to the Discover card, it said the 2.45. So several people asked me if the 2.45 fee was only for the Discover card. And I said, no, that applied to all of them. I don't think it was as clear as it could have been. And then I also had a question. You still can write a check, can't you?
Yes, absolutely.
You can write a personal check like we've always done.
Yes, you can write a personal check. It's made out to the same Goshen Central School District tax collector. It's just processed at a different location.
Okay.
And the answer, I'm looking very specifically at the information that's on the website. And I want everyone to hear this. You can pay your taxes online by using your American Express, Visa, MasterCard, or Discover credit card. 2.45% convenience fee.
Right. I was referring to, yeah, what was actually printed on the tax bill. I think the people that asked me about it, I think that's where they had gotten their information.
In all fairness to them, I'm sure it was so microscopic on the tax bill. I think it's a fair question. But so hopefully this clarifies for anyone. And as always, if anyone has questions, we welcome those questions in the business office. Email, you know, my staff is fully working, so we're happy to field any questions to make this more comfortable for anyone.
Right. And just it appears to me that if your tax bill were $10,000, the processing fee would be approximately $250, and that's quite an amount. And I hope people understand that it is strictly the credit card that is imposing that, not the district in any way.
Yes, I hope the same. And as I used in my illustration, because you know, $10,000, if you put that on a credit card, again, if you're getting cash for your points or any kind of rewards, you might be getting as much as $125 back. But I really want people to understand that, because the district is not benefiting whatsoever. We just thought that was in a difficult financial time, that may be an option that somebody would want to, you know, utilize. But thank you, Martha. Those are great questions.
Because if you're going to do that for points, that $250 that's real money.
Agreed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes. 6.
Here?
Yes, right? Yes.
Your hand in the room or just there?
Well, it's up to you. I mean, I was gonna give the link to everybody in case they couldn't make it, but whatever we gave you.
Okay. I may as well just put it in just in case. Thank you, Louise.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, Personnel, and Technology, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Pucci. Good evening, everyone. So as you have mentioned earlier, there have been some inquiries, if you will, regarding connectivity and Chromebooks that have been distributed by the Goshen Central Schools. Just want to take a moment to cover some of the things that we found throughout the day on Friday and also today. First and foremost, we've been made aware that there are Chromebook issues, mostly in-home. So we are looking to address those. I do have a full inventory to discuss with you, just so you understand what we have in service and what we're looking to replace. Additionally, we've run some speed tests that I can discuss with you, and also inquired with OU BOCES to talk about those magic numbers of throughput and bursting, all which would be relevant to what we're trying to achieve with remote learning. So to start, we are aware that right now in-house we have approximately 839 Lenovo N22s, which would constitute about 21% of our total inventory. Today and Friday, we worked on securing quotes for approximately 850 replacements, which would be with Dell 3100s, which we found some good success with. We will seek some more quotes, preferably 2 to 3 more, not only for pricing. Remember, everything should be on state contract pricing anyway, but more importantly, we're looking for the best ship dates available. So that is a concern of ours. So Mr. Sterrett will continue to secure those quotes through his office, and we'll keep you up to date on that. We did receive one from CDW. So again, as we get more, we'll let you know. And that is for the sole purpose of replacing the N22s. I do want to mention that Google has issued statements regarding automated updating, and that automated updating does expire at some point, which would then, of course, leave the Chromebook vulnerable, yet not unable to be used, but we would prefer it to be updated. Every one of our Chromebooks right now is still available for the automated updating, which means that it can run the current systems. And not that that matters, but I just want you to know that even the N22s, they have a late 2022 automated expiration. So, we've still got 2 years to go before they wouldn't receive any updates. And for Chrome browsers specifically, that is very important to get the latest build. However, as we had mentioned, we are looking to get those out of our fleet and replaced with the Dell 3100s. The next oldest machines we have would be the Lenovo N23s. So in the current inventory, we have 1,700 N23s. They have an automated update expiration of late 2023. And that's about 43% of our inventory right now. Okay, so late 2023 for those. And that is one that we've run a speed test on in comparison with our next model, which would be the Dell 3100 and 3189. So if you just stick with 3100s in our inventory, we have approximately 1,375, which would be 35% of our inventory. As we add another 850 plus in, of course, that number will jump. And those have an expiration of late 2024 or 2025, based on the purchase, based on the entry into service. So that is our current inventory. Today, Jim Sterrett ran a speed test with the N23 and the Dell 3100. And we did see somewhat of an increase in performance with the 3100 with download and upload. Somewhat comparable processors, which is really what I'm told we need to focus on while trying to have multiple tabs while streaming. So the test did not show anything too alarming. However, we did notice slight improvements with the 3100. And I have that to pass around for you to take a look at so you can see those numbers. So again, with 1,700 N23s, our first goal is to get the N22s out, and then we'll begin to cycle out the N23s so that our inventory is mostly 3100s and 3189s. And that is in the works. Additionally, we've been collaborating, as soon as we became aware and had reports coming in, we collaborated with Forest, OU, BOCES, and some other local school districts with their tech directors, just to bounce ideas off of one another and gather information as much as possible. So today, Jim Sterritt took some time to really focus on some of our in-house network settings that are pushed out to our students and families. So by doing simple things such as not refreshing Chromebooks upon each logon, but rather allowing the settings to be saved, we're thinking that that should speed up a few things. And then also, I know that he had focused on slightly minimizing the quality of the streaming. So rather than running 1080, for instance, maybe down to, 710, maybe something a little lower. I apologize for not having that exact number. But the thought is that by lowering the quality of the actual visual slightly and maintaining the audio, that should help us to not tax out the processor and the memory. And then also, I'm aware that what he did was to minimize the grid view, kind of focusing on what we would refer to as the spotlight view, so that when I speak, it's on me, rather than having the availability of seeing 16 plus other participants. And although that is not the most desirable for the time being, it may help us to maximize our streaming capabilities. So those are some small things that I know he had adjusted in-house to improve performance and streaming capabilities. One of the other things here that I wanted to mention, as I had reported on at our last meeting, you have the capability of what I believe is a 500 megabyte consistent throughput with a capability of a 1 gigabyte burst. So in our test, and even speaking with BOCES, we're averaging around at peak times 300 to 400, not peaking over 500 megabyte. So, our securities of what is guaranteed and what we can burst to have not been touched yet, which is good on our end. It's also very important to mention that on the BOCES side, they have a capability of bandwidth at 9.51 gigabyte. And in speaking with Forrest at BOCES Instructional Council last week, he had mentioned that they're looking to improve that even from 9.51 capability, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, up to 11 gig. So you can see that their bandwidth capabilities are far greater than what we're requiring. In their test, what they're seeing on a daily average, and keep in mind that's all districts that subscribe through BOCES, even with the 9.1 gigabyte capability, they're only seeing on average 5 gigabytes used throughout the day. So they're not even maxed out, which is also very important for us. There was concern last week that when we ran our stress test on that first day with that outage that was reported, where did that come from? So we also inquired about that, and I was told that it was on the end of Crown Castle, not on the end of BOCES or Goshen Central Schools. So I thought that was important to mention as well. So moving forward, knowing what we have in front of us and knowing what we're doing to rectify by way of settings and purchasing, the other most important piece is how do we rectify what's going on in the homes with, giving students exactly what they need by way of an appropriate Chromebook. So Mr. Connor and I will be working with the building principals, to go through existing inventory and potentially swap out for those that are having existing problems. I am aware that there are times where, for instance, side by side, the 3100 and the N23 are not working in the home. There are times it's been reported that both are not working in the home, but rather the home device, the owner's home device, is working. At this time, I don't have an answer for that. I can't figure out what is causing that. But that is the reason that we try to attack it through the network settings to try to free up whatever we can free up to help out on that end. So unfortunately, at this time, I hate to say time will tell, but maybe with a day or two that goes by, we'll see improvement based on the network settings. And while we're waiting to see improvement, hopefully we'll have other solutions as well. So that is, at this time, exactly where we're at with everything regarding connectivity and hardware that has been loaned out.
So if a parent is desperate and needs a device, they go to their building principal, or?
So what we'd like to work out is a method to help parents to achieve that quickly. That seems to make the most sense, a simple contact and a swap out. But also we want to make sure that everything is set up with the correct network settings before it gets in their hands. You know, we did release something last week, and it was based on what was coming into the help desk, not an assumed problem. We had many issues that came in. You know, it was reported about network and other things such as updates continue to happen. So we put that out to simply help some of the people that were feeling those questions with something to refer to online. And we did actually receive feedback that the updates were working and a few other things were working at home. However, it wasn't the be all end all because of the actual hardware issues that people were experiencing. So I think we had a multitude of things that had popped up, and you know, I guess it's to be expected at times, but I'd like to rectify this as quickly as possible on behalf of all.
Hi, Jason, it's Mike. I really appreciate your due diligence on this. It's important that we kind of separate all the issues out and figure out what's going on. And it sounds like you guys are doing a good job doing that. Thank you.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the feedback through email. It's very helpful.
Quick question, Jay. N23 1700,
That is correct, for approximately 1,700, yes.
Dell's 1300.
Approximately 1,375.
I mean, we have less students than that, though, right? Those are 3,000 right there. So theoretically, we should be able to get 23s and 3100s in the kids' hands, right?
That would be correct by numbers alone, yes.
We're trying to do
Probably should be our first attack, right?
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
You know, I don't even know how to word my question, really. I'm just concerned about families who've been having problems. And I'm sure they're extremely frustrated. The computer isn't working. And we're certainly not going to get anything new overnight. That's going to take a while. So what am I hearing, that there is a possibility to swap out some?
So the hope would be to get the N23s and or the 3100s into the hands of those that need it, by first taking out the N22s, which I would imagine are giving the most problems. However, you know, we are aware that some people are reporting issues with the N23s and even the brand new 3100s. So as Mr. Lorenzo had mentioned, you know, trying to separate out what the issues are would be extremely helpful in trying to troubleshoot. In the immediate future here, in addition to all the things we've spoken of, it really is important to swap out what we know may not be working.
Have you found if there are many families who don't need one?
So there are those who didn't arrive to pick up, which is why we have some remaining inventory in the buildings, because they do have their own. So I don't have, you know, an exact number for you, but I would say yes, that there are many who did not come to pick up because they do have their own that they rely upon.
A follow-up to that question would be, do these Lenovo's 2020, do they work in the building?
I actually spoke with Jim Sterrett today, and he had said, you know, to their knowledge, up to this point in time, there's been no reported issues in the building, right? Which quite honestly further adds to the confusion of what exactly is going on. You know, even in the speed test with the 23s, and keeping in mind that the guts of these machines are not far off of one another, including the N22. You know, the slight differences in the processors may add to what's going on, and multiple tabs open may also add to what's going on. But I just can't pinpoint that for you right now, unfortunately.
That's okay. I don't think we're on the right track. You know, I don't think it's going to be perfect the first few days. We knew that going in. And I think we'll just keep on working our best to get it done right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and real quick, one more thing I want to add. With that said, you have to understand people's networks at home, not necessarily a service provider, but they have wireless. They might be far away from their wireless router. Most people have wireless at this point. So, you know, one of the things you can tell a parent, which is difficult potentially, is to add a direct connection to the router to their cable modem router that will allow them to connect via a cable connection versus wireless. See if that helps improve it. That might be difficult for some folks, but what I would recommend is get closer to your wireless device that's providing the internet for you and see if that makes a difference.
Mike, this is Jim Sterrett. Unfortunately, none of the Chromebook devices have Ethernet jacks on them. At least none of the Lenovo's or Dell's that we have distributed.
Okay, thank you. I did not know that.
Yeah, they're all wireless.
Oh, wow.
So then the best thing to do is try to get as close to the wireless device they can.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the number of devices and what you're streaming on your home network is also going to impact it. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 kids in your house and you're trying to work from home and maybe somebody else is streaming Netflix or Hulu or something like that, I mean, that's all going to suck up your bandwidth, which I'm not exactly sure what the average bandwidth of family purchases. I can speak for myself. I know we have 100 meg.
I agree. There's a lot of variables, but I think that's where we need to maybe focus on is the local home networks as opposed to a service provider having the issue.
Martha here, could I ask a question?
Yes, Martha.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we know exactly how many students and their names, for example, who are still having a serious issue with our Chromebooks. And if we could at least consider exchanging those Chromebooks for another Chromebook. I mean, we must have some inventory in the school, don't we? And perhaps.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned that. We have some things that we're going to go through the building principals if they're having issues. And we do have some inventory for them to switch out.
Yeah, I mean, this to me is really crucial. And even if we have to purchase perhaps a better grade Chromebook, for the foreseeable future, this is how the children are going to be instructed. And I know my grandchildren are using home devices, and it's just very important. And I'm wondering if there's anything else we can do. I know we're really all trying hard. I'm not saying that we aren't, but we really.
Yeah, I think that Mr. Carter already suggested that we're getting some quotes on new Chromebooks. So I think we have that covered. They sent out some helpful hints for the homes. We have that covered. Mike gave some good suggestions as far as your router. I think it's all the above. I don't think we're going to attack this on any direct issue, but I think between all the things we're trying to work on, hopefully we'll get there. And it's not going to be for a lack of trying. We're going to get there for everybody, and we're going to do our best.
Oh, definitely, everyone's trying. Yes, thank you. I know that.
Sure.
That is it for me, unless there are other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I need a motion.
So moved.
And Tom? Be it resolved, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Ann.
Siglioli.
You have the confidence in it? Siglioli, treasurer, effective November 30th, 2020. Mr. Siglioli has been with the district for 15 years. Be it resolved, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Patricia Holland, school bus driver, effective August 29th, 2020. Ms. Holland has been with the district for 21 years. Be it further resolved, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the remainder of the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
We have no old business. We'll go to new business. 10.1, approval of minutes and transcription for September 2nd, 2020 meeting. Jeremy? Allison? I can see it from my head. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Board of Education approves the minutes and transcription for the September 2nd, 2020 regular board meeting. All there? Opposed?
Aye. Oh.
10.2, the motion to approve teacher on special assignment. Jeremy? Tom? Be resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the terms and agreement between employee number 091420 and the Goshen Central School District dated September 14, 2020, as presented to the board at this meeting. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute the agreement. A copy of said agreement shall be incorporated by reference within the minutes of this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board member issues. I know the NISBA annual convention is virtual this year. I do still think we need to register if anybody is interested. This is really 12-point pay. This is the clerk issue.
Does anybody want to go?
Does anybody want to attend the virtual NISBA convention and let Maureen know in the next day or so?
Yeah, I need to do, if somebody goes and does that, be a delegate, a voting delegate,
What is that? That's on the 20th and 21st.
I believe so.
So probably the
That's
21st.
Saturday. Thank you.
What do you need to know about?
We'll keep by the end of the week.
In the week? Martha, did you hear that? Mike?
Yes,
I did hear that.
Okay. If you're interested for the NISBA convention, let Maureen know, the virtual convention.
yeah.
Will do.
You say in a Wednesday.
Jason, I'm signed up through BOCES to attend that.
Okay, thank you, Martha.
You're welcome.
Any other board member issues? Tom?
Two things. One, I thought a while ago, before a press release or an email went out, that weren't we supposed to see it first? Didn't we have that going on for a little while and then it kind of stopped?
You mean when it was in Sunday's paper?
No, well, yeah, kind of that one too. But no, I was thinking more about the one about the Chromebooks and things like that. I thought we were going to see them first before they went out to everybody. And I think that was happening for a while. Mike, incorrect? Just tell me if I'm wrong.
That's an administrative procedure. I mean,
Okay, then I'm wrong.
no, I'm not saying you're wrong, but if you.
I'm saying wrong. Then I'm wrong.
You know, the buildings.
Okay, that's fine. Number two, field usage. Seems like it's all over the place. Who's allowed to use it, who's not allowed to. Some people have been kicked off.
We've talked about that.
Okay.
It's come up tonight.
But can we have some clarification on it?
Yeah, I think what the September 21st was when the usage was approved, well, fall sports are supposed to be allowed by the governor. So I think once that date comes, obviously people saw the press release in the paper about our facility being donated. So I would think, and we haven't talked since that came out, but I would think that the usage of the fields would be available to our local community. As long as they provide the proper.
So somebody goes down there with just a couple kids to train or do drills or do anything like that. Is that allowed or is it not allowed?
Currently,
Yeah, is that allowed or not allowed?
I would say it's currently not allowed.
I think it's been very inconsistent.
Well, I think that's probably policing, right?
Yeah, we stopped having somebody there to secure the facilities. We're just open out for people who want to track.
Okay.
We could certainly put something out on the website.
Yeah, I just think there should be some better clarification on who, when, how are allowed to
I'm
use it.
sure there's kids up there throwing a football around, kicking a soccer ball around.
I'm I'm not so concerned with that. It's more of outside groups, outside training. I mean, you know, if I go up there and charge $25 a kid, can I bring 3 kids up and throw a football? Yeah, no, I hear you.
No, you're not, you know, you're not supposed to use our facilities unless you fill out a facility use form.
Okay. Like I said,
With proof of insurance.
there's been a lot of
So
inconsistencies.
then are the fields locked down then and only open it when?
There's really no way to lock those fields down. The soccer field, the lower field.
Policing is what the issue is, right?
Yeah,
24 hours.
we know
during the
somebody
week,
up
stuff
there.
is-
You can't use the fields now, we announce that, you can't use the fields during the school day. So if there are any groups coming in there, it's after 4 o'clock every day. But, if there is anyone, but that's, you know, we
Currently, there shouldn't be anyone.
can put a reminder out, you know, the fields are, you know. I'm looking for clarification. Yeah, if it's the 21st, you know, we kick this around. You know, that's, I mean, how can we tell communities or kids in our district or whatever, why would you want anybody on here if we're saying, the state's saying it doesn't start until the 21st? I'm with you 100%. And maybe we need to do a reminder of that.
I think what Tom's getting to is that it's not so much our community members using it, it's others using it. And also using it as a profit for that,
Gotcha.
you know, and
Yeah, if it's allowed, it's allowed. If it's not, it's not.
Right,
Well,
you know.
you know,
And
that's-
there's a proper procedure, right?
You know,
Do
you
people
know.
follow proper procedures all the time?
I know youth organizations are supposed to fill out proper, you know, paperwork for that. Are these other people filling out paperwork to use it?
So this is a
Or is
good
it just
reminder.
wide open?
No.
Jason, I've also been asked about the track, because I think there was an announcement not too long ago that it would be closed.
I think it's supposed to close at 4 o'clock.
We
It
close
opened
it
at 4. I'm not so sure it opened at 4 today, though. I think that's something, right?
Well, it's not locked, but I mean, we just don't want people on it during the school day.
Of course, but after that, it's.
4 o'clock is supposed to be open. I think it was locked.
For community use.
They had closed on
Oh, yeah.
at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so maybe we just need to,
I guess that's why they're questions.
But what about after September 21st, when technically New York State has opened up
Mhm.
kind of practice, is that going to be shut down? Because really, nobody should be on that track if if the kids are out there practicing
Right.
or events going on.
I mean, I think you probably can add a paragraph to that if there are school activities on it, and it should,
Right.
Right.
something simple.
You know, I think
Something simple as
I
that.
think our people not.
But I think a reminder should go out, though. We still have on the outside of the fence is a 10-foot wide paved
I
walkway,
agree, that's,
you know?
why there's.
And that's really why that walkway was put in, was so that people can use that walkway when stuff was going on in the fields.
I think way back when, we've been letting people walk the track. We opened the place back up, but we had somebody there as security too, to keep track of things, so.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue.
We don't lock the track, we don't, and I wouldn't recommend you do that.
Yeah.
If it's after hours, let the people come up and walk the track.
Of course.
I think if you say you're gonna walk around the track, I don't think that's not gonna go through.
I think it comes down, I think the issue that the gentleman here presenting is people who are not following proper protocol.
Absolutely.
I just want to add, I've also heard outside districts have been coming in to use the facilities.
Yeah, that's what he just brought up also, so.
Yep.
So we have to remind our security,
Yeah,
remind our people, the problem is that we don't have security.
maybe I need to have a couple guys spot check it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea,
Yeah.
yeah.
That'll work. So, just to be clear, if a father takes his 2 sons on the field on Sunday to kick field goals, is that allowed?
Currently, the fields are closed.
Not until the 21st. Anybody go there on Saturdays and Sundays? Sometimes. You know, 3
The
out of
question is having security there legally.
We stop at the security right after Labor Day. We had somebody there every day, and that was, the meter was running until 9 o'clock. And I'm not saying people, we shouldn't let people on, or, but it's inconsistent. Some people will be kicked off, others are not.
I think the bigger picture is, are these people taxpayers of the Goshen School District too?
Yeah, anyone who's not a taxpayer that we know that's been on there, they've been told not to. We know that's it.
Thank you.
But we will do a follow-up to make sure we get a couple of guys to get out there and see what's going on for the next week or so.
Like, I know being involved in youth sports throughout the year, we always like to fill out facility use and,
Oh, yeah.
and provide insurance.
Yeah.
Right. And then it had to be approved before they ever go on there. And then you're supposed to keep the form with you at all times in case you are questioned.
Mhm.
And that's the way it should be. Uniform, now, uniform. Thank you, now. Finish.
You know, is there a way to block it? And only open it up when the field use forms are.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll need somebody there.
Every spot, every field.
We have cameras out there.
I think we're worried about what, we're talking about.
Well, there's gonna be uniform now, there's a uniform.
Turf field. Can someone go down and kick field goals down at CJ Hooker? Absolutely. The field's wide open.
The goalpost there? There is one.
There is one.
In the baseball field there.
Right.
People are using baseball fields, people are using.
Yeah.
This needs to be uniform, I think.
It looked like we groomed that baseball field.
They don't like it. That's all. Good reminder.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'll get somebody on it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know, we did have a policy work group on that, and then all of a sudden that kind of stopped. I don't know if we want
I'm not sure what you mean, what policy.
to.
Well, we had a meeting before the track and field was completed.
Right.
Who was gonna use what fields and that just turned. I don't know what that was.
Well, the wayside with all the COVID stuff going on too, it, got pushed back. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna start that back up again.
Okay.
Motion to close meeting. Tom, no. All in favor? Vote.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Opposed?
Keep going, sir.
Thank you for attending. Everyone be safe and healthy. Good night.
Are we on?
If you end that call on Zoom, it'll end the meeting.